everybody, welcome back to HitPoint, an anime news show, a JRPG news show, a niche news show, a show where Baku and I will talk about everything and anything that catches our interest and or ire. We broadcast live every single Monday, at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be previewing some trailer. I think we have like two things to talk about today, honestly. That's news related. But then the show goes off the rails. I don't even know what's going to happen today. Baku,
no one knows.
Where are we going with today's podcast episode? So we had like 2 weeks to gather news. Did we have a podcast last week? I don't think we did.
We didn't.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here today.
We've gathered 2 whole weeks of news, and we're going to cover it in like 2 whole sentences. So today is our discussion podcast day. It's just going to be hanging out, Baku and I, you at home, and we also have voicemail and some comments from the previous week that we get to talk about. We got all kinds of stuff we can do. But yeah. Long story short, there's not a whole lot of news. not right now. It's like, we're out adrift in the JRPG news sea, and like there's just no wind, and we're just floating along.
We're just gonna kick back, relax, and just let the wind take us where we may go.
Yeah, keeping it
by
cash.
that analogy.
just gonna pull out a little table, play some Yahtzee, little board games. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Exactly.
But I think that we will probably be acknowledging chat a little more often this time around.
That's right.
Just because that's what we gotta do sometimes. Just to. So this is your opportunity if you don't want to throw super chats at us at the end of the show, which we will always read those. But if you feel like just chatting with us that way, this works too. So yeah, I guess we're just gonna start with I don't know. I remember a long time ago I used to ask you what the leading headline was. I feel like I should ask you anyway. Baku, what is today's leading headline?
The leading headline is we don't have anything. we are simply putting on a show to remind you all that we're still alive. We are back to you, Derek.
We are still alive, not to be confused with the viewer still alive. But but for real, we mostly we felt bad we didn't get to have a show last week. So we're like, well, let's do something for those fans who just like to listen in, even if there isn't really anything going on in the world. So thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Let's lead off with some of the questions or comments that we got from last week.
Yeah, let's do that. Here we go. Let's see. Let's start with Denny's89. He said, I'm currently playing Revelations Persona PSX for the first time, and I entered the Velvet Room tonight. When I heard that theme, I got all emotional and started to learn it on the piano. What a great soundtrack, man. That is one thing that Persona doesn't fail on. The soundtrack is like, say what you want about like the games, like if you don't like it or not, but
it always hits.
The music always hits.
It's one of two things that always hits. I mean, they always have fantastic character development, I think, but the music is it's almost like Falcom, like it just almost never misses. And Revelations Persona, I've never played that version, but I think I would probably really like it. I played the PSP remake, Persona 1, Shin Megami Tensei Persona is what they called it, which is weird because it never used to be part of the Shin Megami Tensei umbrella. It was its own Revelations thing in Japan for a while, but then they're like, okay, yeah, we'll call this part of the Shin Megami Tensei thing. But yeah, they changed out the music and everything in the PSP remake, and they added a bunch of J-pop. So, and it just, in my opinion, it clashed a little bit with like the moody ambiance of Revelations Persona, but they did keep the Velvet Room theme, and when you play it, and when you're playing one of those earlier versions of the games and you hit that Velvet Room, the song that plays the requiem. Is it the requiem, the poem for everyone's souls? Uh, it's one of those two,
Hmm.
requiem or
Yeah.
or poem. It's wonderful though.
Yeah.
Mm.
I cannot remember all the titles, but man, the music just don't fail for me. Like I've never, as much as I don't really care for P3, sorry P3 fans, but the music always slaps.
Oh man, dude, the final boss theme on P3, it's
Mhm.
called Battle for Everyone's Souls. And it is the poem for everyone's souls, but it's
Mhm.
also got this like orchestral and rock guitar that they add to it,
Mhm.
a sort of techno beat, like a oh, it's it brings that to it. It just goes nuts. Adds in,
Go on.
still got the piano. Yeah, we could listen to it right now, but we'd probably get demonetized. So,
In a heartbeat.
but I used it in my Persona 3 review as the intro, the background music for the big montage that I try to put at the beginning of all of my episodes of the game collection. And yeah, it's just so good. The only problem
Man,
is that it takes like feels like 2 whole minutes to like get to the good part.
is that right?
Yeah. So I ended up cutting that out for
Hmm.
my video. I just get to the good part. But yeah, so Revelations Persona, that's pretty rad. Pretty rad game.
By
My
the
Oh,
way,
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say that our next comment is coming up here, but what did you want to say?
By the way, for anyone who is watching this right now, I don't know what device you're using, but if you're using like a web browser, you will notice that YouTube had changed the layout, and
Some
God,
of it.
it is horrendous. I
Yeah.
hate every part of this.
Oh
I
man.
know why they're doing it, but they're making it way too extreme, and like a bunch of information like how many people are here, where are the comments. I'm like, where are the comments?
They haven't rolled that
Apparently,
out to me yet. It's going in waves, and
so bad.
yeah,
It's
David
so
Vink
bad.
sent me a picture because he was included in one of the waves, and
So bad.
and my gut reaction at first was ew. The second one was it looks like TikTok. The third
It's
one
so
was
bad.
ew.
It's so bad. Again, I know why they're doing it. They want to push more videos and push people to go to the content, immediately. Instead of having it on the right side, it's going to be like right underneath. They can post a
Hmm.
bunch of videos that may interest you. I get that. But it's just the way that they're doing it
Yeah.
is they're removing way too many things in favor of this, and it's just driving me crazy. But for anyone who may be as confused as I am, and you're seeing this whole new layout, and you are watching an old hit point, and you're like, oh, how do I even get to the comments? Close the chat, exit out of the chat, hit the X, and then the comments will show up. So the chats and the comments cannot coexist at the same time, and you can't
What?
switch them. Yeah, you can't switch them. Just hit X on the chat on the window, and then you will see the comments section and all the the titles and all that stuff. That's all there. You have to hit X. Yeah, I know.
I don't know,
Hate it.
man.
Hate it.
I'm sure we'll get used to it in time, but for now, it does feel like I don't know, like YouTube's changing, man, and I don't like it.
Change for the better is fine, but you've gotta think this through. Like
Yeah.
right now, I'm looking at our video feed right now, and
Yep.
then it used to be that underneath would have like the title of the stream,
Yeah.
and then the channel, join, subscribe, all those fun stuff is there, right?
Is it not
That's
there
not there
anymore?
no, that's not there anymore.
Oh my god.
That's not there anymore. And do you want to see what it looks like? Do you want to
Yeah,
see what it looks
yeah. Are
like?
you gonna share your screen?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
yeah.
I'll point out to you what the problem is.
Okay, yeah. We'll do this. We are moving on to a live review of YouTube. Okay. All right. I can switch to your screen now.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Let's see
Do
this.
you see it? Yes.
Oh,
This
gross!
this
There's
is
an
okay. So
ad
this is
for
what I
Mint
see.
Mobile.
Yeah, but it's fine. It doesn't matter. Like, just imagine that we're here right
Oh
now,
yeah,
right?
there's no title.
Look at this. This
There's
whole section right here. This whole section right here used to be like the title and all that stuff,
yeah,
which would still be great if it was here. I don't care if you show all the videos underneath it. Like, I
yeah.
get it,
That's
right?
cool.
But
Yeah,
why would you cut out the title? Like,
it's. I mean, okay, sure. If you hover over the
so,
title of the video, actually, hang on.
oh my
Mute the
God.
stream. Let it play through the ad. I wonder if it.
No, I can skip it.
Okay, so if you
So here you
hover,
go. It's here.
there it is. Okay,
But I have to
that's
close out the chat. You see this? I have to close the chat. Then I can see all these things.
okay.
Yeah,
So
this is silly. Yeah, all these information should still be underneath. And then afterwards, if you want to post all your video, fine. I get it, right? I understand why. But this is just a bad move, right? This is decidedly a terrible move.
it feels like they're putting up barriers to people subscribing to content creators on YouTube, which is really weird. But they've been
Because-
at this for a long time, man.
I don't know. I think this is a terrible, terrible move. But here you go. If anyone wants to see comments in the old video, just exit out chat, and then all the comments will show up like here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All right.
that's
Well,
all that.
okay. Moving on to the other comment that we got here, or one of the other comments. This one comes from Model James 13, who says, "Still waiting on Chained Echoes." dot 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 dot.
I looked at their fulfillment from what is it, First Press, and now it says Q2 2024. And I'm like, didn't it used to say Q3 of 2023 and Q2 of 2023? And I'm just like,
Bro,
yeah. When did we even get the thing? We bought it a minute ago.
I don't know.
I
That's
when you can't even remember when you paid for the thing.
it's
Like, I
been a
barely
while.
remember.
I want to say it's been over a year.
Oh, it's definitely been over a year. That's for sure.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's so bad. But yeah, just know that we are with you. But I will also say, number one, do not harass the developer. Like, the developer is like one guy
Yeah.
from Germany, and he's just like, yeah, I made a game and then like assign a thing for people to do this publishing because I just one dude and I don't know how to do all this. So
Yeah.
and then this one company who he signed up with are just like horrendous at what they're doing.
Apparently.
And like, I don't know, like
I feel bad for him because, I mean, putting out a physical over a year after the launch of the original is
yeah,
pretty wild stuff.
probably not what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Either. And that aside, just like that, he has no control over this, guys. Like, just recognize that he has no control over this. Don't harass him. Now, this is not to say go harass First Press either, but maybe just urge them to give more consistent communication. I'd say be civil, and just be
Urge
like,
them
hey,
to
look,
do better.
yeah, like I gave you money. At least a monthly like update is not unreasonable. Every 30 days or so, it's just like, can you tell us where
It takes
we're
5
at?
minutes to put together a little statement. You can even they could have ChatGPT make a statement about it.
Seriously.
It takes nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next question here that we got from Dom Buchanan, 1986, who says, "Man, love this show. Makes my time at work enjoyable. Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work." And it's comments like that make me so happy, dude. That I love to hear it. And that's why we wanted to make sure that we did another video soon, another podcast episode, even though there's like 2 news items.
We weren't kidding when we say that we want to make sure that you guys are aware that we're still alive. Okay, half kidding. Yeah, but we are in fact still here. In fact, you know what? I saw a couple of comments. I mean, you guys can look at it too. Don't take my words for it. But there were a couple of comments from the last video that are just like, "Oh my god, I love the video. Love the work that you guys do." So it's like, man, what's gotten into you guys all
I
nice
know.
and making
It's
it all sappy and stop
it's
it.
weird. I'm not used to that. I come
I'm
to
not
YouTube
used
to
to
be
kindness.
abused, okay? This is where I come to be called a shill, and I am not having
Yeah.
any of that positivity in my in my
I mean,
house. Come on.
when you're a game reviewer or a game content creator, you're either a fanboy or you're a hater. There is no middle ground. Sometimes you're a hater for 1 week, and then the next week you're a fanboy. It's just, I don't know, but I think y'all have like bad short term memories. But anyways, no, we really appreciate all love. Thank you again.
All right. And we've had the number up on the screen for a moment now, but if you would like to leave us a voicemail, you may do so at 785-337-3805, just like Tim here.
Hey, SuperDerek and Baku-san. It's Toolman. It seems like indie games are just getting better and better. This year alone, we've got Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes, Shrine's Legacy, and Quartet coming out. My Familiar is another one I'm very excited about that I think is planned for next year or maybe 2026. A game that I just got funded on Kickstarter that I think Derek in particular would like, that I'm very excited about, is the Godshark Chronicles, which, like Shrine's Legacy, is a pixel art co-op action RPG. So my questions are, what indie games are you both looking forward to the most? Doesn't have to be ones coming out this year. Could just be on the horizon. But which ones really pique your fancy? Thanks, guys.
Great question.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you for the voicemail. Now, it's the strangest thing. I feel like it wasn't all that long ago. I actually put together a list of all of the upcoming games of 2024 that I was hyped for. And I feel like a lot of that list is very similar to the list that I've composed right before the show started to help with this. So I went ahead and talked to Baku a little bit about this before because the thing is I hate to accidentally forget and leave out incredible indie studios. And I know that I've forgotten several. That said, I have a list of about 18 right now sitting in this Excel document that I just had to kind of just
Shout out.
yeah, because I have the list, so I know Baku. If you want to chime in with some of these, feel free.
Heck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So starting with and this voicemail from Toolman did come a few days a few weeks ago because he's talking about how excited he is for Eiyuden Chronicle and Godshard, and we've already talked about those. But speaking of Eiyuden Chronicle, this is the last time I'm going to be able to include them in such a list for various reasons. I am looking forward to the upcoming indie RPG Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. This is a game that I have been looking forward to for ages now, ever since the Kickstarter was announced.
Yes.
The late and the great. Oh God, just there's such an incredible team, and of course, as I'm like so hyped about this game in my mind, I'm like trying to remember the guy's name, and I'm failing miserably.
That's okay.
Yeah,
It's a Japanese name, hard to remember. That's okay. I can't remember half the like Nobuo's who made Final Fantasy? It's like I can't remember.
Yeah. And plus we're like 40, getting close. Anyway.
We're just having all kinds of brain degeneracy.
I know. Gosh dang it. Put me on the spot. But anyways, I put myself on the spot. But Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes is just looking incredible. The demo came out a little while ago, and yeah, go play it. Or I think people have started receiving their copies in the mail. I saw David got a copy in the mail today. I wonder how that happened. But it seems like there's some sort of stuff behind the scenes with those hard copies going out a little bit earlier than anticipated.
I should keep my eyes peeled for the mail.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Of course, we got
we
got our good friends at Something Classic who are working on Quartet.
Love that game. Have you had a chance to play it yet, or have you
No,
only seen the?
I
Ooh,
know.
you're gonna like this.
I know. And same with My Familiar, it's
Same with that.
they also I haven't played that either, but that's also one of the people that I'm really looking forward to. Forge of the Fae. Dude,
Mm-hmm.
this has really caught my whole attention right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is that Breath of Fire like that well, I mean, as far as I can tell, the design seems to be like that of Breath of Fire 3-ish. And
Mm-hmm.
that's right up my alley. Same with Tears of
Mm.
Magic, you know.
Yeah, that similar look and feel, right?
Yeah, we have for us Breath of Fire fans, we got some indies that are just seeking to kind of fill in that void
Mm-hmm.
that Capcom is just leaving wide open. So I guess that's lucky for us, but at the same time, it hurts my soul. Come on, Capcom, do it, you cowards! Kingdoms of the Dump looks
Mm-hmm.
incredible as well. This is a kind of an it looks like an Earthbound style game, and it all takes place within a dump. You play as a trash can. It's just the random stuff. There's also some non-pixel based games though, like Armed Fantasia and Penny
Oh,
Blood,
oh yeah. Who could forget those guys? Right?
Sky Ocean's Wings for Hire. That's the um, spiritual successor to what was
Brain
it?
farts. I know.
Yes, I know. It's just
The pirate game, the
yeah,
Sky Pirate, that
Skies of
one,
Arcadia.
Skies Arcadia.
It got there eventually. The brain isn't what it used to be.
Hmm.
And Haruka Beyond the Stars. You want to talk about
Yes.
that one for a second because that was one that was on your list that I had missed myself.
Yeah, so we were talking for a minute, and Derek's just like going through all the games that he's super stoked for, and I'm like, "Yep, yep, I got that one. Yep, I got that one." And then we're just going through the list, like, "Oh yeah, there's this other one." So Hadokar, Beyond the Stars, I think that one is slated for 2025. So we've got like another good year before we hear anything, and may potentially be delayed. But you know how it is with indie games sometimes. But it's got to be another year until you'll hear something more substantial. But for now, there are some trailers out. The Steam page is up. Um, it's like a turn-based RPG. It's got this beautiful art that's very reminiscent of Ghibli studio style, which I think nowadays there are definitely more games that tries to utilize that style to great
Yeah.
effect. Um, like ever since what's that one game that they actually worked with Ghibli? It's like level
Yeah, level
Nino
5. They were
Kuni.
working on it with Nino Kuni. Yeah.
Nino Kuni, yeah, Nino Kuni. Like ever since Nino Kuni, it's just like people are just it just really triggered people's imagination. Like, wow, we could all make games like this.
Right.
And so I'm so happy to see all these like Ghibli art inspired games coming out.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's one. What's another one? I could have sworn I
Oh,
sent you.
I've got a big list.
Oh yeah,
So
go
yeah,
for it.
there's also didn't talk yet about Bloomtown,
Oh,
another
Bloomtown, yes.
another one of those RPGs that are kind of earthboundy. Uh,
Oh yeah.
Shrine's Legacy, that's a bit more of like an action RPG co-op title, along with Godshard Chronicles,
Hmm.
which is another, pixel art action
Yes.
RPG co-op. Alterium Shift, that's one that I did an experience points video about, but it's still in early access,
Hmm.
but it looks like it's going to be really good when it's
Oh
fully
yeah.
released. Odd Venture is also kind of earthboundy.
Hmm.
I have a soft spot for all the earthbound likes, and all of the ones that draw heavy inspiration.
Hmm.
Then we also got Sacrifier, which is another one that's kind of like that HD 2D style pixel art
Hmm.
on a 3D plane with like bloom effects and stuff. Kind of Octopathy.
Hmm.
Let's see, Hermit and Pig, and there was a Beloved Rapture, which is it looks like it's a RPG Maker game, but
Hmm.
it looks like they spent a lot of time and effort to make it actually like more than just an RPG Maker game.
Hmm.
Like if you didn't know it was an RPG Maker game, you probably wouldn't think that it was. So it looks sick, along with everything else in this list. Um, You also mentioned Dream Channel Zero, I think.
Yeah, Dream Channel Zero is an upcoming game from Olden Cat, the folks who made Max Monsters. So I am super excited for it. They're known for making games that will make you like feel things, that
Feel things.
emotions that you didn't think you were capable of feeling. And so I'm excited to see what kind of story. They're definitely like more story forward and like gameplay second. But they do great in what they do. So and also the music's amazing. The art's amazing. I think this new game is going to be the biggest game yet. It's going to be more involved, more things to do, more a richer experience. So I'm excited for that ambition. There's one more game that I did want to talk about.
Yeah.
We have never talked about this one on any of the hit point, because there's really not a whole lot to go off of here. But the game is called Threats of Time. If you
Oh,
can switch over to my screen for just
sure.
a quick second, I do want to show this off because I think this is really cool. Yeah, so you see that?
Yeah. It's
Is it?
kind of hard to. There you go. That's a lot better.
It's a GIF. It's not even like a full video, but like you can see
I'm
like
sorry. Wait, what did you just say? GIF?
it's a GIF. It's not a GIF. Stop mispronouncing it.
Oh my
It's a
gosh. Oh
GIF.
my gosh.
It's a GIF.
How have I gone through this podcast so long and I didn't know you were one of them?
I'm a GIFer.
Okay.
But
Okay. We'll
anyways,
we'll we'll discuss this off the podcast.
so Threats of Time is really trying to do the whole Chrono Trigger thing, not just like the battle and the art style, but really traveling through time and having different, or at least from what I've gathered from reading through like their material, is that their intention is to create a game that's really, really a spiritual successor to Chrono Trigger, not just
Oh.
like in name,
And not
or
just
like,
in
oh well,
visuals
yeah,
or
or visuals, or like it just plays that way. It's like, no, there will be time travel. That's why it's called the Threats of Time.
yeah.
Like this character here is from like 1080, and it goes back like 10 billion years or something. I'm just like, that is extremely ambitious.
Okay.
I don't know how they would do it, but the art looks amazing.
Indeed. That
Yeah,
is
look at all the, and they have a sense of humor. You can't argue against this. So, all in all, I am really excited for the stuff that they're doing. I just am hoping that they will give us something a little bit more substantial than like, anime art, which it's all nice, like, oh look, 24 AD, and uh, and all that fun stuff, and that's all great, but prehistoric 10 billion BC.
wow.
So, all kinds of fun stuff here. The character looks incredible.
Yeah, I really do. I gotta have a trailer, man. This is
I
really
need a
exciting.
trailer. Yeah. So, Threats of Time, if you're watching this right now, we need a trailer. We would love to talk about your game in more proper terms, but it's not a whole lot for me to talk about right now, other than all the things I have just said. So please let us know when you can slap something together. Anything.
Okay, well, if that's the case, I also gotta show you this other thing. Then it's another indie RPG that's been in development for ever. To give you some frame of reference,
Mhm.
this is a trailer that came out 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
From some people that I met when I was in Seattle from
Mhm.
Studio Atma.
Atma.
Yeah, and
Ooh, pretty.
this game is called Gravistar, and this
Mhm.
is just a little bit of footage from one of their like demo builds.
Mhm.
So it's very like this is 5 years ago. I think that the idea it's it's very pretty, but I
Mhm.
wonder if it's just I know that right now they're working on a different game to help fund this game. Last I
Mhm.
heard. So it's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing this in actual like action. I wonder if I can skip ahead to like like one of the combat encounters.
Ooh, okay.
Like
That's interesting.
they have some like some real good animation chops under their belt, and I think and there's some like sketching in there that you can see of like some frames of animation not fully done, but it's just I think that's a really cool looking game in general. And
Interesting.
so that's on my like wish list. Like I hope that comes to fruition someday, sort of list. Because I haven't heard much from them lately, but that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate. We were just talking about this a little bit earlier in the pre-show too. It's like there were a lot of very promising uh indies, and this is why sometimes some folks will come in and be like, "Hey, can you guys talk about this indie?" Or they'll like send us like an email or something. Can you talk about that indie? And then sometimes our response would be like, "Hey, thanks. We didn't know this exists." Other times our response is, "Yeah, no, sorry, we can't really talk about it because there's nothing to talk about. There's so many indies out there that are in development that just doesn't pass the threshold where we can say, okay, we have serious, belief that this game will actually make it to market. Because if it doesn't, then it's kind of moot. Like, yeah, I can
Yeah.
tell you that some people are making a really pretty passion project for arts. Because if it doesn't make it to market, it's just art at that point,
Yeah.
right? So,
Which is still
and
beautiful
that's
in its
fine.
own,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, and that's fine, but it just doesn't pass a certain threshold of materialization, I guess, is what we're trying to get to. So we certainly hope that some of these games come out because we're excited for them. But things happen,
Yeah.
like COVID. If COVID's taught us anything, a lot of projects
Oh
got,
God.
yeah,
Yeah.
lots of projects got canned over COVID for one reason or another. So it's for every one fantastic indie game that you see coming out, there were like 10, 20 of them that didn't make it.
Yeah.
That's the reality. So
You know what?
hopefully that gives you guys some a sense of what the industry is like.
Because we're doing a different format today and not really just diving into like news and stuff, I'm going to go ahead and do something out of order and respond to this question that we got from Still Alive, who threw out a super chat here a
Yes.
minute ago. They said they got a different question for us this week.
Okay.
What, in your opinion, was the best or most comfortable gaming/office chair you have ever had to play long RPGs in? My butt gets sore after too long. Sigh.
Oh, ooh, okay, that's hard.
It's hard because like really high quality like office chairs I think are I mean the I was gonna say the sky is your limit, but really it's your wallet that is the limit.
Hmm.
What I have found works really well for me though is actually what I'm sitting in right now, which is not it's not a racing chair. Here, if I can switch to my me cam. Hey, it's me. It's a me,
Are
Super
you sitting
Derek.
on a couch? Is that what's going on? Like, do you
So
just have a?
it's a good question. It's a very good question. So this is actually a recliner that I
Mhm.
have. It's not a very expensive recliner. It's just a little wingback recliner.
Mhm.
So I can recline if I so desire, which is
Mhm.
kind of nice.
Mhm.
But so I mean, there aren't very many office gaming chairs that do that, which is
Mhm.
the first thing. Also, I have it up on casters, so like the wheels are this big around, because
Mhm.
otherwise I have a carpet in here to help deaden some of the sound. If I
Mhm.
didn't have big caster wheels, it would get caught and stuck on
Oh
everything.
yeah.
So what I
Oh
did,
yeah.
this was a pretty inexpensive armchair from Amazon. Like,
Mhm.
when I say inexpensive, like maybe $200 at most,
Mhm.
because I'm a cheapskate. So I took off the legs and I
Mhm.
used a drill to drill in some 2x4s that were cut to length, one
Okay.
on either side of the so forward and backward. I have that 2x4 like bracing it,
Mhm.
and then I have those giant casters just secured to the bottom of the 2x4s. So essentially, it instead of having feet, I have very heavy duty casters. I can roll around. This is the best gaming chair I've ever had. It is incredibly comfortable, and not because it's just an armchair, but because of two additional things that I have. I have a lumbar support little thing there to. I think that's a big part of good long-term sitting sessions is just having good lumbar support. So I've added that to this chair, as well as an extra butt cushion. Okay, so now I'm not sitting on it. I'm a lot lower now. So
it's a thick boy. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a thick mat like this, and it has a spot under here where your tailbone goes, so that it doesn't like rest your tailbone up against anything directly.
Huh. Okay.
So that that is the combination, the winning combination that will, I think, beat any Herman Miller office chair by a mile. You know, it is just you know I stream for like 8 hours in a single session. I couldn't do it without this. So
that is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get up and I'll walk around, but I mean,
yeah,
this is and it's so much cheaper. You have no idea the number of times I've been reached out to by like Eiyuden Racing or whatever, some gaming chair company that's like, we want you to advertise our stuff. I'm like, I would like your money, but I am not gonna tell people to try those. They are so absolutely uncomfortable. Those racing style chairs, they're hard. The padding is awful. It's always so just like, and you wear through it in just a day or two. It just it compresses so hard, and then you have these harsh angles because it tries to look all gamery. Like it's the worst.
So take it from someone who had been in the car racing scene for a little bit. That bucket seats, which are what they're called called bucket seats.
Yeah.
You know what they're meant to do?
Keep you from falling out.
Yeah, bucket seats are meant to hold you in place in a moving vehicle at high speed, you know, from like an actual race car, right? That's the intended purpose. And then that style seat got popular in, you know, sports cars that are not racing cars, but they're sports. So you want to look sporty. So here you go, have some racing seats, right? And then somehow that got translated into, well, since you liked it in your car so much, let's put some like, you know, wheels on it and we'll have it in your office too. And no, they're not for comfort. They're not, there's nothing gamer about it. It's supposed to keep you in so that when you're making a really sharp corner, you are like planted in and you're not like moved around and you can actually control your vehicle. That's the point. So for every person, for every person who buys one of those seats, I'm like, you do know why that seat is designed that way, right? It's not for comfort. Like comfort is not,
It's the worst. And also they have other kinds of gaming chairs. I used to have one when I was a kid. They're kind of shaped so that they have like a round kind of curve to the bottom. So it's like shaped like that. Well, anyways, it's shaped so that you can rock back and forth, and the cushion is also kind of curved as well. And those are also super uncomfortable after an extended period. Honestly, it feels to me like anything with the word gaming on it is just another way of saying 50% markup and guaranteed to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Also, not to hate on bucket seats. Like bucket seats that are well designed in a vehicle will do wonder. Like, but that's because it's doing what it's designed to do. Like
it keeps you in place.
Great quality. Like bucket seats are actually quite comfortable. Too bad you're not going to get that kind of quality in one of your gaming chairs, like for sure.
Yeah.
I could recommend like ergonomic office chairs. Now those with like
my mom.
That's what I'm sitting on right now.
A really interesting ergonomic chair that I used to love for office use. It was
Yes.
one of those. If you saw it, you'd think it looked like a torture contraption, though, because it's one of those kneeling chairs.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are
So,
supposed to be good for you, though.
oh man,
Supposed to be.
you get used to it after a while, but it's so foreign, especially if you don't know how to use it. But one of these kneeling chairs, look it up. The way that you sit
Yeah.
on them is you put most of your weight on like your knees,
Mhm.
and your butt is still kind of on an angle, but you're like wedged into position. And
Yes.
there's not, you can get some with back support, but the
Mhm.
one that I had growing up didn't have that.
Mhm.
But you get like, they're nice as far
Yeah,
as
my friend swears by that.
uh-huh.
So yeah, that's a great one. I was gonna say if you are prone to sweating, get the office chair with like the kind of like the netted kind of like seats. I think those are pretty
Mhm.
good because those are breathable,
Yeah.
right? And they still support. So but it does take a little getting used to it because even with all the support, it just feels like you're leaning on nothing. When
Mhm.
in fact, like the net really does catch you.
Yeah.
So that's
Yep.
about the only thing I can recommend is like, look, if you get like a good, like you don't have to go Herman Miller, but you could get a good office
Like
chair.
just a mesh,
Yeah.
because that's the other
Yeah.
thing.
The mesh. Yeah, there you go.
The mesh will not flatten out over time the way that like a cheap office chair cushion will.
The foam, like the
The
cheap
foam,
foam. Yeah.
yeah.
And like the fake leather just like flicks off. Yeah.
Mm.
None of
And
that.
like sticks to you,
None of
and you
that.
get little like flakes of like black on you. It's the worst.
Yeah.
So
Mm-mm.
I think if you and I, if we were to come up with one, so yeah, that's something that my chair does suffer from, is that it's fake leather. Luckily, it hasn't started flaking yet, but it does not have that breathability. And if there's one way, if there was any way I could add that to this chair, it would be perfect. So the three things I would recommend: breathability, that mesh sort of like non-cushion. Like if you look at it, it looks like it's just a hammock for your butt. Yeah, it's see-through, but it's
Yeah.
so supportive. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get that, do it. The other two things though is, some sort of lumbar support, specifically a cushion for your lower back. And then also just try to make sure that your tailbone isn't hitting anything, cuz like it's like headphones, if you have some headphone that's like touching like the part of your ear, even if it's comfortable for like, the first 10 minutes, after an hour or two of like touching your ear's just going to be sore,
Yes. Yes.
so it's
That's the
just
problem.
like that for your tailbone too. So
Mhm.
that's old man gamer advice from a couple of 40-year-old dudes talking about keeping your buttocks dry and comfortable for 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 long gaming sessions.
That's right.
I mean,
Yeah.
couches are also good too, but they don't often have that same lumbar support. If you do go
Yeah.
with a couch, I like the ones that have a low back, believe it or not, because then you can really stretch back, and as opposed to the ones that make you kind of hunch forward when you get sucked into them.
Mhm.
It's all about posture.
It's true. It's all about posture, and you can't be lazy with that. That's wholly within your control.
Yeah.
So, um, speaking of being old, this is off topic now, but I was telling Derek earlier that I hurt my foot
Yeah.
yesterday,
What
and
did you
I
do? Did you
don't
kick a
know.
football?
No, I didn't. I didn't. That's the problem. I didn't do
Did you
anything. I
tackle a
didn't.
baseball player? Did you
No, I didn't. I didn't.
go?
I literally didn't do anything. I went out for. So I went out to a Thai New Year festival thing. So I posted some picture on my Discord. And it was really good food, and we had all the food. I got in the car. My friend drove. I didn't even drive. Okay, I sat in the back seat. My friend drove me home. I got out of the car, and my foot just started hurting a little bit. And I'm like, huh, that's weird, you know? And
Yeah.
then I got in, and then it just kept hurting worse and worse over the night. It's gotten better now, but I'm just like, it just started hurting out of nowhere.
I think
And
you should just pin this on your friend. Just say, you know how bad of a driver you are? You're such a bad driver. You hurt my foot and you didn't even do anything.
yeah, and like I posted it online. I mean, on my like friend chat group, and they're like, "What did you play sport? Did you actually got around? Did you exercise? Like, no. Did you hit anything? Did you fall? Did you trip? Like, no, nothing. I mean, nothing. It's like, did you hit something? You're not. No. it just started hurting on its own, and they all unanimously say, well, it's because it's old age. That's the only that's the only explanation they can come up with.
That can't be it, because I feel like I'm 17 still. But,
Oh yeah,
oh well.
especially with the anime hair, it's just
Right? Look at
bringing you
that.
back. Yeah, look
The
at that.
hair continues. It continues growing. You know, I'm not even doing anything at this point. It's just doing its thing, and I kind of dig
Yes.
it. My latest video actually was my last hurrah of the faux hawk.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's the last. It was not filmed all that long ago, and
Mm-hmm.
it was very precariously stacked on top of my head. It was big. But it's fun.
We appreciate the effort.
Yeah, I figure, I don't want there to be a continuity difference when someone's like going through watching all my Trails of Cold Steel videos, and then they get to Trails of Cold Steel 3 or 4, and then my hair's suddenly like much longer. It's like,
It's an evolution of Derek. I feel just got
exactly. So, okay, that covers the comments from last week. We got the voicemail. Hit up that super chat just for good measure. Let's dive into. We actually do have like two things on the docket.
Three.
Three. Okay.
Three. Yeah.
You're adding stuff, man. So I.
No.
All right. Well, we have. It's not news this time, but it is upcoming games this week.
Yeah, we just want to use this as an excuse to look at the trailer and just get hype with you all because it's coming and
Yeah.
it's Eiyuden Chronicles, of course.
What?
What?
Oh my gosh. When
It's
does this game
actually
come out?
coming.
When does it come out?
The 23rd. So that's in what? Next week. Yeah, that's
Tuesday.
next week. Next Tuesday. Yeah.
Yep. We could have talked
Yeah.
about this next week, but
No.
we might not be here depending on the news. You mean, so yeah, let's go ahead and check out this trailer and just ooh and ah together.
Ooh and ah.
Besides, some of my friends already have the game in hand, so
Blessed with sight am I,
look at that.
and there is much that I can see.
Ba-ba-ba-ba?
Bababa.
The tale
Ba-ba-ba-ba.
of a fated group of three.
It's ba-ba-ba. Ba-ba-ba.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Their links
I keep
to
forgetting that there are
100
three
heroes'
protagonists.
Destiny.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
There's
Because there's always like the red and blue clash.
Yeah, there's
scene that we keep
Jowie,
seeing.
Jowie and Ryu. And then,
Ryu.
Wait, was that Suikoden too?
First, our heroes and those closest to them. 5 brave souls will reveal themselves.
Hey there. You must be
For
the new
each
guy
main
Mira
character?
mentioned.
What about it?
They will
For
share
each
the
main
burden
character, there
from
would be
those
5
fated
characters that
as
would
his
just like come to
fiercest
hang out with them. Is that
allies.
it?
No. Don't ask me how I know. But no, that's just
Oh my God,
that's the characters that were introduced in the demo when you start off as the main character, as one of the main characters.
Ooh.
I know. It's such a
God,
pretty
it
game.
looks so good.
It's such a
I
pretty
cannot
game.
believe this comes out in like a week.
Yeah.
And then voices most
Rowdy,
vociferous.
yet reliable.
Bandits and outlaws among their number.
Pretty soon, General Kogan's gonna declare himself ruler of this whole land, and you can't do squat about it.
Euthus, maybe ease back on the whole. But you're about to get an iron ball bashing. Hoo-ah!
Is that like a combination attack? Okay, never mind. I was about to say.
I see a ship sailing the sands.
Oh man,
Shark people.
land sharks.
Begins now.
They're the
Lone
worst.
sharks.
Exterior, the stronger their hearts and more enduring the bonds.
Must be
they
really tough
forge.
looking up all the time.
Well, there are some combination attack situations
are.
there.
Yep,
Wow.
What
It showed a few
high-pitched
combos
voices
already.
this way
It's a
come.
magical girl.
Mm-hmm.
Magical girls?
And she was in Eiyuden Chronicle Rising.
It is the sound of sorcerers. What magical adventures await Noah and his allies? We shall see.
We shall see.
Nice.
Justice always wins.
Oh yeah! I'll win again.
God, these characters look so good.
A racetrack for the Eggfoots.
They do.
Look at them go!
Those who chase dreams.
If only Murayama-san
Those with
was
goals all their
still
Yeah.
around to see this, man. It breaks my heart that,
all their hopes and dreams.
Hot
will
Springs,
find
of course.
of course,
form in this
Of
new
course.
home.
classic.
Classic. It's gonna be a fishing
Setting
game.
their
Oh, a cart game.
differences aside.
Oh
Classic.
yeah.
Their love for their home. Brings
There will be
them
fishing.
together.
There will be. Oh, speaking
oh
of.
yeah.
Speaking of fishing, yeah,
It's official.
Fishing. It's a JRPG. Oh
Hey.
my god.
Bakugan.
Bakugan, yes,
The bonds of
I think that's what that's
friendship
called,
know
right?
no boundaries.
yes, I think so.
The same can be said for these heroes.
We nearly had a situation with Ivy and her Runums when she thought we were Imperial goons.
And I'm still sorry about that.
Who is connected to who? A truth.
Oh,
unknown yet
Dragonborn looking
told. But
folks.
that's the fun in it.
Hmm.
For the last time, I'm not a bandit. I'm a desperado.
You okay,
Oh.
buddy?
For now, this is all.
He's
The
a-
singing.
He's a
The singing is
Yankee.
happening.
What's that?
Epic
You
singing.
wish to know the fate
Oh, man.
of these heroes?
I know.
Surely you'd rather learn that for yourself.
Elves.
No, no. Tell me about them. Tell me about them.
Nope.
Disembodied voice.
Hey, it's Garu and CJ and Isha. Yes. You remember them, right?
Eiyuden Chronicle. Hundreds.
They were in Rising. CJ was
Yes.
the protagonist.
Available
Yes.
April 23rd,
protagonist.
2024.
Oh man,
Pre-ordered now?
God,
Yes.
cannot wait. I
Only one more
literally
week.
cannot wait.
Only one more week. Only one more week.
Only one more week.
Only one more week. Oh boy. Wow.
That was a
People are
ride.
streaming the full game on Twitch right now, apparently.
Well, they should be very cautious about that because I'm pretty sure they're throwing out DMCA's right and left.
Yes.
And they warned everybody in advance that that would happen. So, you know, maybe don't do that because that's also super rude.
yeah.
I mean, play it maybe, but maybe don't stream it.
Yeah, people don't care.
I
People
know.
don't care. It's silly, but I will wait until when the time comes for us to look at that game. And as we've talked about, of course, is coming out again on the 23rd on all modern platforms, including the Switch, which is impressive.
It's funny because when they released that originally, like for the back rewards, they're like the options were PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, the series consoles, or whatever the next Nintendo console is. I still remember that was like that was the thing, is like whatever the next Nintendo console is, because that was like 3-4 years ago, and it was inconceivable that the Nintendo Switch would still be the current gen for
the
Nintendo.
modern console. It's a modern console, Derek. Until there's a new one, it is modern.
Sure.
But yeah, man, I not much else to say about it. It's just I just want to play it.
No,
I
dude.
just want
it's-
to get my hands on it. And start
It is
playing
so
it.
exciting.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next section, which is going to be the new game that was announced.
Oh yeah, I mean, surprisingly, there's one that
We got one.
do want to talk about. Yeah, we do. We
In
do want
2
to talk about this
weeks.
one. In all of 2 weeks, there was one that was worth that we saw that we felt like it's compelling to talk about. So from Phoenix Studio from Madrid, okay, announced that they will be making a new sci-fi turn-based RPG called Runa. Let's take a look at the trailer and then we can talk a little bit more about it.
Okay, I have not seen this before, so
Yeah. So a Spanish developer. Kind of cool. I like the different different countries are like getting in on this, you know, and
Yeah.
just putting their own take on things, having
How
their
do you
own
how do you
narratives.
say how do you say Xenoblade in Espanol?
No idea. How do you say Xenoblade in Espanol?
You say it like this. Xenoblade in Espanol.
I cannot wait to read the comments and having all these people correct. Like, actually, hi, Mr. Derek, I'm from Spain. Actually, this is how you pronounce it. They'll send you a voice clip.
They say, my name is Iñigo Montoya. You killed my father. Now prepare to say Xenoblade. In Espanol.
Yeah.
But seriously,
Yeah,
this looks
this
incredible.
game-
I don't want to just narrow it down to or throw it in this box of this looks like Xenoblade. It does, but like in a good way.
Xenoblade
Like
slash like Zelda-ish.
Yeah.
But that's just like
Hey,
some of
it's a
the
turn-based
graphics
RPG. I'm
aesthetics.
way more
It's
excited now.
turn-based. Oh yeah, no, this is turn-based.
Yeah, yeah. If this
So,
was one of those action RPG things, I'd be like, eh.
it's sci-fi but fantasy. It's
Yes.
like sci-fi fantasy.
I love
kind of
this.
deal.
This looks incredible
Yeah.
so far. I'm gonna need to add this to my list of indies I'm
Kickstarter?
excited for.
Kickstarter coming in tomorrow.
Ooh. Okay, so it's
So Kickstarter hasn't started yet.
okay.
The Kickstarter will start tomorrow.
So guys, do not kickstart this thing until tomorrow. Okay.
That's right.
That would be
Yeah, I
rude.
think so far there are like 3,000 follows on it. or
It looks
something.
really
Just-
good.
yeah.
You know, my initial thought was like, oh yeah, Xenoblade, because it looks like a dude wandering around in a sci-fi kind of somewhat medieval looking area. He's got a
Yeah.
weird looking sword. You know, that's what made me initially think Xenoblade.
Yeah.
Plus, you know, beautiful. It's a gorgeous looking game. So I'm excited to see more about that title
Yeah,
when it gets
See what
developed.
comes from it. Yeah. So again, no release date, of course, but we'll find out more. Actually, we'll find out more information tomorrow. Starting at 11 a.m. Eastern time is when they said that they will begin the Kickstarter. So yeah, check them out.
All right. Well, so that does it for the for the upcoming games, but we got some industry news also, kind of.
Kind of.
Let me find where did I? That's not the right spot. Here's the button for industry news.
Industry news.
Industry news.
Go on.
All right. Well, so this is actually hot off the presses. Keanu Reeves. He's going to be voicing Shadow in Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
That's super exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah. No one hates Keanu. He's the most lovable man next to maybe Tom Hanks.
I just kind of love the idea that Shadow the Hedgehog is just going to be furry John Wick.
Oh no. With the guns and all.
Yes.
Oh no. Ooh.
It's freaking perfect.
Oh my god.
Suddenly Shadow's going to be like, what? Just imagine if I'm just imagining a situation where that's actually the case. just
I'm gonna
straight up
message-
murdering people.
I'm gonna message my friends right now. One of them is a huge Shadow fan, and I'm just gonna tell her that this is just furry John Wick and see what she says.
But I would love it absolutely if they just went all the way dark, just like dark universe, dark Shadow. Like let's stop tiptoeing around Shadow being the world famous hedgehog, and let's let him be a straight up murderous son of a gun, you know, son of a gun. Yeah, so excited for that one.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen Sonic 2 with Idris Elba as Knuckles?
Actually, I have not watched any Sonic movies.
Really?
No, I have not watched the Mario movies. I don't watch any movies. I'm like the worst person.
Well, I mean, I
Not
agree.
even anime
but
movies.
no, I'm just kidding. No, you're great, but that's okay, dude, because these are not like, Academy Award winning, very serious films that will change your perspective on modern cinema. These are schlock, but they're fun schlock, and they don't absolutely like throw everything out the window. I kind of think sometimes I wonder if like Sonic's decision to be CG characters inside of a movie with like real people is just weird. Like they could have done the whole Mario thing and gone full CG, and it probably would have been just as good. I feel like Sonic 2, they went a bit more full CG. Like the first movie was like 90-10, 90% real, 10% Sonic. The second one's a bit more like, I don't know, 40-60. 40 real, 60%. With Shadow, though, I don't know what they're going to do. But yeah, I really enjoyed, honestly, the return of Jim Carrey as himself. Just as
he
Dr.
say that he
Robotnik.
wouldn't take the same role twice? Like, isn't that one of his thing?
I don't know about that. I mean, he changed his mind for Dumb and Dumber, so
That's fair. That's like early career John Carrey, right?
probably
Yeah,
he
Jim
probably didn't
Carrey.
want to be typecast, and I understand that. Ace Ventura.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. But he's done a really great job as this, and I'm just happy to see him being goofy again, man.
Dr. Robotnik's, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Man, yeah, and that's all the news we've got. This just all three of these news.
Yeah.
All we
But we managed to stretch that out for an hour already, and I still got a couple discussion topics that I kind of wanted to talk about anyway.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, discussion topics.
Discussion topic.
Yeah. So I got one here that's it's some inside baseball for fans of the channel, and that is, I know a lot of people probably didn't want to watch the Cold Steel 4 review, or might have missed it, and that's because generally speaking, Cold Steel 1 has had the most players and people have played that the most. The number of people who play Cold Steel 2 is going to be a subset of players of Cold Steel 1. Players of Cold Steel 3 are going to be a subset of players of 1 and 2. And then Cold Steel 4 is similarly a subset of people who have already played 1, 2, and 3. And then, of course, there's a lot of people who are looking forward to playing those, and they're just wanting to avoid spoilers. So,
Yes.
anyways, point being, a lot of people just aren't going to watch this one for a while, and that's okay. But I did, in this video, do a little bit of a soft launch of a rebrand that I've been working on with a few friends of mine over the last few months. So the SuperDerek logo and everything, that's going to be changing gradually. Going to be putting out very gradually. It's going to be changing a little bit here, just around various other places, but I want people to be able to still see when it's me making videos, so it's got to be kind of a gradual thing before I eventually shift over to the new logo on things like thumbnails and the channel banners and stuff like that. So if you're wanting to see what that kind of stuff looks like, it's a multifaceted approach to like a new intro. So it's gonna have the SuperDerek logo that looks kind of like a CRT coming into full resolution. Has a background track that was generated, or not generated, it was created by a friend, Eric Ladd, who you may know from Retro Game Remix, who made an incredible Earthbound soundtrack, like tribute album. Highly recommend you check out his whole channel. He's incredible. But yeah, he did that for me. Switch Wicked are helping with like the branding and the logo redesigns. And I feel like it's just a little bit more fitting, especially now that I no longer have the big old faux hawk to make me look distinguished. Now I think it's just going to be a little bit more thematically appropriate for the RPGs that I'm going to be talking about. So that's the first part that I kind of wanted to talk about. Just kind of nudge people over that way if you haven't seen the video already. But I also understand, because it's also going to be pretty spoilery for people who have not played Cold Steel 3. So aside from that, I'm also starting a playthrough of Lufia 2, Rise of the Sinistrals over on Twitch. We've gotten a few sessions under our belts right now. We're about 10 hours or so in, and right now I'm just in the middle of this grind to defeat a boss that you're not supposed to be able to defeat on your first playthrough. Because that's how I roll. Because there's missable loot, and I want that loot.
Okay.
I'm coming for that loot. So, yeah, that's kind of what I got going on right now, and so far it's been a lot of fun, and I think that'll be a video that everybody might be able to enjoy, because if you want to play Lufia 2, you already have probably, unless you're me. It's my last classic Super Nintendo RPG that I've never played any of, and it's just been a real fun experience so far, dude.
Okay.
Anyway, what have you been up to lately?
Man, still playing through Like a Dragon, still playing through Infinite Wealth.
Oh yeah, how's that coming?
Recently finished. I finished something. I finished a game. What did I finish? What was I playing just before Infinite Wealth? Oh my god, I cannot remember. But you know what? Unicorn Overlord was super good.
Nice.
That's the game that I finished off stream. I just played it by myself. I got this thing where I really don't like playing strategy game. There's just a lot of backseaters. Oh my god, you won't believe the amount of backseating that happens when you play a strategy game. But
I wish I could say I was surprised.
Yeah. So I just decided to play off stream, and man, that game, just to put it into perspective, right? I think FF7 Reborn sold 2 million copies.
Yeah.
Which is,
it's very
great.
good.
Yeah. And Unicorn Overlord sold 500,000 copies.
Yeah, that's a quarter of 7. So that's awesome.
But
that's really
it's
good.
Definitely way less than a quarter of the budget. I guarantee you it's going to be less than a quarter of that. So if you want to talk about return on investment, Unicorn Overlord, it's going to be a lot more than Final Fantasy. And it's just and the number's still growing, right? There's a lot of people who still have heard about the game, and they're like, oh, is it really that good? I don't know, maybe I'll pick it up. Well, when it goes on discount, there's always those people, right? Which, by the way, it is on discount. So if you have been on the fence about Unicorn Overlord, you don't know, I don't know, man, strategy games, I don't know if I really the strategy part is really intricate, but also pretty simple to pick up. They've done a lot of things to make it easy for a newcomer. While if you want a challenge, you can certainly have a challenge too. It's all within your control how much challenge you would like in that game. So it's pretty good. And that's for the people who are interested in strategy games. What was I playing before?
Final Fantasy 7 maybe?
No, I didn't play Final Fantasy 7 yet. I've been meaning to, but I cannot for the life of me remember what I was doing before Unicorn Overlord. Can you explain the combat in Unicorn Overlord? I've heard it explained, but it sounded so odd. Okay, I'll give you a quick version of it, right? So you're on this map, okay, and for every stage you have a starting base, okay, and it's kind of like capture the flag, right? You have multiple enemy base that you need to capture, okay, and there's always a boss or some kind of enemy that's stationed in these key points, right? Key bases, right, in the map. And when you move your units over, is real time moving towards them, and once the 2 units collide in the little map, they go into battle. Okay.
So it becomes a turn-based RPG at that point, or no,
it becomes a gambit kind of RPG. So you set the behavior ahead of time.
Oh, okay. Kind of like Final Fantasy 12 gambits. Got it.
Yes. There's no real-time control during the battle. All the weapons, all the skills from the class, they all have strength, weakness, all kinds of things, positioning. You can kind of change the positioning of the characters, and that will change something of the unit, and then they'll go in and they'll just kind of duke it out without any actual control in the battle.
How long does that take? Usually
to do what? The battle itself?
Yeah.
under normal circumstances, it's like maybe a 20 seconds, 30 seconds affair.
Okay.
If you can always fast forward it by holding a button,
Okay.
or you could just skip it altogether. So if you just want to see a thing or two, it's like, yeah, no, I changed my mind. I don't want to watch this anymore. Skip.
Okay.
Just completely skip the whole thing. You can just fast forward the thing. It's like, yeah, I want to see it, but I just want to get to like this one part later on.
Yeah.
Or I want to see it play out so that I can see like how I can strategize better or like improve this squadron because it's not doing something, it's not behaving the way that I want it to, something's off, and then to see what it is, that you can just fast forward and get to the part that you
So is
need to
this a
see.
game for coders basically? Like
Yes,
you gotta
it is
program your
very
your,
much
your strats.
programming light. Yeah, it is programming light.
Interesting. So it's like if programming was an RPG.
Yes.
And that will appeal to certain kinds of uber nerds.
Maybe that's why I like this so much. I'm like, oh my god, this is just programming. There's
Yeah.
a lot of like, I mean, they don't actually do if else, but like it's implied.
Yeah.
Like there's certain action that goes down the list, and the character will search through the action and take the one that they can, the first one that they can.
I see.
And then yeah, if it cannot, then it'll move on to the next action, and so on and so forth. So you have to
Okay.
set conditions so it plays exactly the way that it reacts to stimulus exactly the way that you want that character to, or that team, in fact, react to the enemies the way that you want them to, is
Okay.
how you actually play the game.
Yeah, so
So
it's
there
kind of
you
like
go.
a turn-based RPG, but it's one that you've already played by the time the combat starts.
In a way,
way.
yes. In
Yeah.
a way, yes. Yeah. And so you move the characters, and the rest is just really just capturing bases and capture the flag. That's all it is. And the shortest stage was like 5 seconds. I've had one stage that literally lasted 5 seconds from start to finish.
All right. You know what,
And
dude?
yeah.
I am sorry to do this. I need to run real quick, and I'll be back. And so you go ahead and host for about a minute.
Oh yeah, sure.
All right.
Let me just talk to people
All right.
who are here. Messagix says, I'm 56 hours into UO, probably about 3/4 done, trying to do everything, so likely have a good few dozen more hours at least, but loving it. Glad to hear it. Alex has no interest in UO. It's not made for everyone. And that's just the thing. Like, I'm raving about it, but let's just be very clear. Our stance is always this, and that is there are 100 kind of games for 100 kind of people. So it is what it is. Is Super Baku RPGs now? Yes, it is now back to Super Baku RPGs. But which, by the way, if people want to come hang out for a little bit later on, I will probably stream on Twitch after this. I think I'm gonna play a little bit of Infinite Wealth. So if you guys want to come by to hang out for a minute, yeah, believe it or not, Yakuza is now a turn-based RPG, which I think it's still shocking to a lot of people. It's like, Yakuza, you mean that like Japanese GTA? What does that have to do with RPGs? Like, boy, you really haven't been paying attention. It is now a turn-based RPG game, and it has been since the last title. So yeah, not poo-pooing. I know. And sorry that I'm not trying to imply that either, but it's just more of a general statement that it's just not for everyone. And that goes for pretty much every single game in existence, period, no exception. It's just like Final Fantasy. Like, a lot of people are like, I'm not really liking this. So, yeah, well, then the game is not made for you. It's really just that simple. Unfortunately. And it may feel like a betrayal to like a longtime fan. I get the frustration. Like, man, I've been a Final Fantasy fan for 10, 20, 30 years, and oh my god, it just feels like they're doing me dirty. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, but like, there's a changing trend and stuff. It just happens that this is just the reality of a long running series. We've talked about that before in previous podcasts too, like the different strategies that companies can take to appease old fans while attracting new fans. There are different strategies. Square Enix has taken a certain kind of strategy. If you look at Pokemon takes a different strategy. You'll see different series do different strategy, and I think it's really interesting on how different companies battle this exact same problem. It's a good problem to have. I mean, that implies that you have a series that is popular and long running, and people are passionate about it, right? So which unit was your most OP in UO? I had two wyverns, elf girl, warlock, just Rex everything. I think most of my units are pretty OP. I have a wyvern dive thing that I set up. There is a Trinity staff setup. There is the main characters team that basically is like a all utility team that can go up against just about anything regardless of situation. It's not OP, but it will pretty much win against anything. The two elf girls, the princesses with their elemental something, I forgot what it's called. And it's just like an all attack that's not magic, so the magic reflect does not work against them. It's a lot of stuff, but basically I've gotten it down so like every one of my team just steamrolls the game. So
There is something about those kinds of games where you can just kind of min-max your team to. I've called it like ludicrous efficiency. That's one of the things I love about the Trails games, is just how it's fun to break the game, and it's incredible when game designers acknowledge that and they facilitate that. Like they give you enough tools to be able to like, all right, if you understand the system and if you can get the items and the things required, you can, and if you have the the know-how, if you can figure it out,
and
to put toward this, then you can make this like you can make this game, not even a challenge. You can steamroll it, and that's so much fun. Like when the game lets you win, like it's like, the Breath of the Wild designers, they were like, we have this debugging tool, but it turns out that like cheating with the debug tool is just in and of itself really fun to do. Therefore, this is now an ability in the game. Like,
right.
It's the ability to let players, just have fun. Exactly.
Yeah. We talked about that too in previous show, but it bears repeating. A lot of the developers nowadays, I think it's partially the fans' fault too. Maybe reviewers, like us the reciprocating public, right? Like the companies create a game, they create a thing, they send it out to the wild, and then we give them reviews, and they take these reviews as feedback, and then they make their next game, right? The general cycle is how it works, right?
Yeah.
And when they make a game and it's well received, you will see a lot of people talk about the art, the music, the story, right? And that typically is, and I'm also perpetuating that, but we seldom talk about how much fun it is, because when it comes to a great game, it's almost like by default it is fun, so we don't maybe like emphasize on it enough, but we'll be like, man, the story was incredible, and the soundtrack and the art, and that's always the thing that comes first.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, for a game, the most important element is actually whether or not it was fun. Did you have fun?
There are some games that I do play less because they are fun and more for the story. For instance, there's an entire genre, the entire story, or the what are they called? The visual novels. They are stories that you enjoy, and you get to go along for the ride. Fun? I mean, some of them don't even have gameplay.
I see, that's the thing. I don't count visual novels as games. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, what are you talking about? No, visual novels are not games, and we can talk. They're
just literature with trim. Yeah. I mean,
well,
they can
because there's, I mean, if there is play, then it has play elements, right?
Yeah.
But it's not the focus, then it's not a game, right? But if there are certain things, there's certain games where like there's a heavy visual novel element, but there's enough gameplay. Like what Persona. Is that? No, I was thinking Uwareru Mono. I think Persona has enough gameplay for it to just be a game. But what
Corpse
I mean
Party
is
also.
like it's like almost 50-50 novel and tactical RPG, right? And like
how about Corpse Party, the original?
Course Party, it's definitely a game because they're losing conditions. Like
Yeah.
you could get caught by the ghost. You can pick the wrong thing. You'll get bad ends. Those are losing conditions.
Yeah.
Like there's a win-lose condition at least. That's like the basic of a game. There's got to be some win-lose condition. Without that, it's just a visual novel. You're really just reading. Like that's it.
I got you.
So yeah, but I think I think it's the fun aspect. So I think companies like especially like I hate picking on Square Enix, poor giant corporation that I keep picking on. But I don't
Are they
think they're
that
getting
giant
it.
though anymore? I mean, they have a lot of IPs, but
Relatively speaking, yes.
Okay.
I mean, not to Western country, I mean, the Western companies per se, but like just in their respective like playing field, I guess. Because you forget that Square Enix owns a lot of other things like publications and they have different divisions and stuff. So it's not
That's
just
true.
like the gaming.
I just know that
But-
they seem to have been like hemorrhaging a lot of money lately, and I'm just
Oh,
wondering
yeah.
how much of that has chipped away at their, mega corporation status.
So can I discuss that for a second?
Yeah,
do we
let's.
have time?
Yeah, we got.
Because
time.
I thought
Of
about that
course
the
let's-
other day.
Of course, let's discuss it. We got
Let's
nothing else to
discuss.
do.
I actually thought about this the other day.
Yeah.
Right. I was thinking about this the other day, because it all came. It's gonna come full circle. Someone was asking me about Unicorn Overlord.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm like, oh yeah, I absolutely love the game. And we got to the point where we were talking about all the good stuff, and again, I was like, music, arts, gameplay, all great. And then like, well, what were some things that you didn't like about it? And then I thought about it, and I'm like, there were a couple of things that I wasn't thrilled about, and I was listing them out, and I'm like, wow, actually, it was quite a bit of things that I didn't care for. But overall, it's still a really good game in my mind.
Yeah.
But that got me thinking, with the amount of things that I didn't particularly care for, and I'm like really choosing my words to say that I didn't hate it, but I could have done without it, or I felt like they could have done better. With the amount of like things that I had to say about it, it's about the same as like some of the more recent Square Enix games that I've been a lot more critical about. So then I thought, like, am I just being unfair to Square Enix at this point? Like, why am I like this? And I'm way more forgiving to a Vanillaware game. And it suddenly clicked for me. It's like, you know why Square Enix is just doing so bad right now? Like, at least one of the main reason
Yeah, what's that?
that is all connecting now. Like, what the main one of the main, it's not the main reason, it's one of the main reasons. It's that they really don't have the goodwill of their fans anymore, and that's huge.
Oh yeah. Even here in the
So-
chat right now, like some people are just like, I am done with Square
Yeah,
Enix.
I'm so done with Square Enix. Yeah, they just don't have the goodwill, and
see
that
you,
goodwill goes
Alex.
a long way. Like, when you get a game, like if you like the company, like Vanillaware,
Yeah.
like they're beloved. They come up with a thing, even if it's not the best thing in the world,
Yeah.
you would be way more forgiving subconsciously. You'll be like, you know what? Hey, do better next time. I'm still rooting for you. You guys are great. Just keep doing you. You would focus on all the things that you love and so much less on the things that you didn't like. When it comes to Square Enix, it's like, I'm afraid to like the thing that you sent out, because if it's successful, you turn it into a mobile game.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not successful, you just bleed money. So it's like a lose-lose situation that I don't know how to help you. Like
it's hard to figure out how to help Square Enix at this point, because they do it to themselves, or they do it to us. It's like,
it's a vicious cycle.
sure, part of it is what have you done for me lately? That's like part of it is obviously like, what have they done lately that we love? well, right now Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is doing particularly well. People
Star
seem
Ocean
to really like it.
2.
Star Ocean 2, but yeah.
Octopath 2 was pretty good. I mean, in recent,
Oh,
as in
yeah.
like in the last 2-3 years.
Octopath 2 did
Yeah, Octopath was
wonderful work.
great.
Mhm.
And then of course now Vision of Mana that's coming. Other than the whole NetEase thing,
Yeah,
it's shaping up to be really like we've heard what you liked about Trial of Mana. Here's some more. So I
But
like their
it's
approach.
but for every one of these things, like we can name one other thing. Like what was the NFT thing that they were gonna do with the Parasite Eve?
No, it wasn't Parasite Eve.
Oh, was it not?
No, people just thought that it was going to be Parasite Eve. It was like
Symbiosis or something? Symbiogenesis. Yeah.
Symbiogenesis, yeah, which sounded like a Parasite Eve thing. If anyone's ever played Parasite Eve, if not,
Okay.
we're not gonna spoil you. But it sounded like, oh, okay, is this a new Parasite Eve? Everyone is super excited, and then Square Enix is like, no, actually, it's an
Okay.
NFT
Even
project.
even more recently, like, so they do something good. Here's Chrono Cross. And like, yay, we have Chrono Cross. It runs at 15 frames per second. And people are like, no. You know,
WTF,
here's Chrono Trigger on PC. Yay, it looks like crap. No. And then
To
they
their
fixed
credit,
it. And
they did fix it
they
years
fixed it.
later.
They fixed it so
Yeah.
so well. It is now the definitive way to play.
Yes.
But like,
So
it's
mixed
it's-
bag.
it's just evidence of the pattern of how they do things, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, at this point, it feels like there's a lot of companies that kind of do that. Atlas is one of them, you know, where it's you know, one step forward, one step back. Right. Lately, they've taken a couple steps forward, but then, you know, they also released Persona 3 Portable right before announcing Persona 3 Reload. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I appreciate it, but was this really just like a low effort cash grab before they couldn't do it anymore because of Reload?
I wonder about that, and I'm pretty certain that it is. I gave them benefit of doubt, and I was like, maybe they're trying to do this to test the water. But given how quickly they came out with Reload, it's like, well, yeah, this was well into development.
Yeah.
By the time that you decided to re-release like P3P, so it's calculated.
Yeah. So,
So
even some of my favorite developers, I feel like the number of developers that I have up on a pedestal right now is few. And I guess at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to: is corporations are not our friends. Our only friends are indie developers.
it's true. It's true.
Both
true.
metaphorically and in reality. Like,
a corporation's entity. Okay, it's a thing that exists. It's a money. It's primarily a money generating.
the prime directive: make money.
Yeah, is to make money.
And if you can make money by
anything-
doing things that people like, then do that. And if you can
Yeah.
make things by doing things that people don't like, do that too. And that's how you
Yeah.
end up with Square Enix or
Yeah.
Sega, who with Ryugago Toku, what was the DLC for New Game Plus? Like, yeah,
What, RGG?
yeah, I said
Where the
Ryugago
new
Toku.
Game Plus is now locked behind DLC, and like it's such a bad move. This is such a stupid move, guys.
See,
like
but
RGG
we still
Studio.
like them right now.
Yeah.
But in 15 years of maybe some similarly, like, you know, crappy decisions, I mean, that was the first chink in a really good set of armor, as far as I'm concerned.
The
They can-
thing
they
with
can
Square
recover.
Enix, the thing with Square Enix is, I feel like their strategy, like their whole persona in this like gaming space, is they can't make up their mind on
About
what they want.
who
They
they
want to
are.
do both. Yeah, they
Yeah.
want to do both. They want to make money, like we are making like dollars, okay? Versus here, we're your friend and we want to make great games, and it cannot be both. It cannot be both. They want to be both, but it cannot be both.
I feel
Right.
like they just have been having an identity crisis for a long time.
Yeah.
Where, and I mean that in a few ways, like they didn't know that they were the JRPG company for a while.
Yeah. And sorry, and I do want to clarify before I move on,
Oh, go ahead.
before folks are thinking like, so what I mean by that actually is, can they make great games and be profitable? Yes. Can they make a ton of money and also make good games? Yes. But those two cannot be the focus at the same time, is what I mean. Like that, the strategy and the things that they do has to be around that sort of like leading principle, right? So
Okay.
if their principle
it's
is
conflict of two different leading principles.
that's correct, yeah.
Okay.
So you have to put something first and then something second, but they can't both be first.
And what are the
That's
two
what I
that
mean.
you're saying? Just for the sake of clarification, because I haven't fully cut that either.
Sure. It's either they want to be like Hoyo and just be Genshin Impact and just like we're gonna make $1 billion.
Okay.
We're gonna make a game that will just generate cash, and that is our prime focus. We're not trying to appease the fans. We're not trying to make a game that doesn't make money or makes less money. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go full in live service and we're gonna make a really good game. We're gonna go all in. Okay.
Yeah.
Or you know what? Forget live service. We're gonna focus on making these titles that our fans really like, and hopefully they will give us money for it and support us. More of a let's say, for lack of comparison, a vanillaware way of going through, because they're like product first and money second. Okay,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they will go bankrupt trying to make UO and coming out and be like, well, God, golly, we really hope you love our game enough to keep our company afloat afterwards, right? And so far so good.
Yeah.
Or you could be Hoyoverse with Genshin Impact and just be like, yeah, no frill. You know that we make this game. It happens to be fun, but seriously, we're
Yeah.
here to make money.
So they've
guys,
got
okay?
they've got like
Yeah.
two different paths that they're trying to follow at the same time, but that ends up pulling them into a third path that isn't really a successful one.
It's hurting, yeah, because it's kind of kicking themselves. Like they will make a game that the fans like, and then they'll turn around and turn that into a money generating, which conflicts with the previous like objective, if you will. So you can't lead with both. You have to lead with one and have the other one follow, right?
Yeah.
But they're trying to lead with both, and so they are failing left and right because they can't do either.
It's really interesting, the subject of how goodwill with a company kind of affects our perceptions of them.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I guess it's 100% about goodwill and perception, but it just raises a really interesting question of like, how do they even come back from where they are? Like without just releasing nothing but bangers for 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
Yeah, I don't know. If it was up to me, right? Like if you ask me, what do I want to see from Square Enix moving forward, in a viable way, and not just like, well, just make games that I like, and like no,
Yeah.
and I mean like in a business viable way, like start listening to fans' feedback. Forget your live action games. I mean, not live service games. Forget your live service games. Okay, just stop with your gacha games.
They don't know how to make
Okay.
them in a way that people want to be a part of them right now.
Yeah, and the only live service game that they should keep going is FF14, honestly, because people like
because-
what Yoshi P is doing, so
Yes.
it's fine.
I was going to say they know how to do that, but
Yeah,
other
just-
things not really.
let that happen. Build that goodwill, and have it so that I'm not afraid to like your product, because that disappointment that comes with like you come up with a new IP. Let's say they come with new IP right tomorrow. They announce a new IP. Everything is gorgeous. They've got these veterans working on it. It sounds like a Square Enix move. Okay, you see the art, you hear the music. Oh, Nobuo Uematsu is coming back out of retirement to make these like like these amazing scores, and you're just like supercharged, excited.
Yeah.
And then the back of your mind immediately is like, oh my God, what are they
How are they going to
do with
ruin this?
Yeah. How are they going to ruin this? Right. And
Yeah.
until they can get rid of that thought from all the fans, like until they can rebuild that trust, forget about trying to make like big money. Like they've lost all that goodwill. You have to rebuild that trust again. So that's what I think they need to do. Acknowledge that they messed up. That whole NFT thing, that's stupid. Just walk away from it and just be like, yeah, that was a bad idea. Just say it. Yeah, just own it and be like, yeah, we're gonna try to do better. They have new leadership now. They have a new CEO. Use this opportunity to just be like, yeah, that was a bad idea. We're gonna move away from that. It's not hard. Just say it. You know, but they're straddling. They're too scared to say, oh, the NFT maybe is not. I mean, have you heard anything about the symbiogenesis? No, because they know it's a bad idea. The cloud figure. Remember, some time ago we were making fun of them for making a cloud figure with an NFT that's attached to it.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, now there's a non-NFT version because why? Because they're stepping away from NFT because they know it's a stupid idea and it's hurting them way more than it helps. But they just won't acknowledge it, and I think it's silly.
Yeah.
But anyways,
well,
how would you save Square Enix?
Okay, I think I would look for some of the classics that I've been neglecting, and you know, things that come to mind. Obviously, like right now, I think they should have some information on Kingdom Hearts. The next Kingdom Hearts. That's a big money maker for them. It has a huge, wild, rabid fan base, and they just need a solid entry in it.
Right.
Like a universal, maybe even just a solid entry point. Also, maybe not a reboot, but just something that's like, all right, newcomers can come in here and they'll understand everything because it's a new entry point. That's probably the first is just that. And let's reel back. It doesn't have to be AAA. Let's focus on a few AA titles. Visions of Mana is a solid example of kind of what I'm talking about. You know, let's see. What else have they not touched in forever? Chrono, I wouldn't touch for a while. They're
trying to push. Okay, so this is a series that maybe people have forgotten, but Saga.
I know they've been pushing Saga pretty hard.
They're pushing Saga hard right now.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Saga's weird though.
They need to push Parasite Eve. I feel like Parasite Eve is prime for like a good Western like market release. Like they're searching for something to sell to the West. I'm like, Parasite Eve is perfect. I don't know why they're working so hard. Like they were trying to do that. Remember that one game that they hired artists from Metal Gear to work on? It's part of the Front Mission like universe, supposedly.
Yeah.
Remember that one? It was so unmemorable that I honestly cannot even remember. It bombed so hard that we Left Alive. Thank you so much. Left Alive. God. Yeah. That was the thing. Remember? Yeah. So
no, I kind of don't. That's how bad it is. You could show me the trailer and I'd be like, oh, this looks interesting.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting too because I'm like, okay, you know, Square Enix is trying to dip into you know, the Metal Gear Solid money, right? Because Konami's not. So okay, there's an itch and they're trying to scratch it. I thought that was a smart move had they made a good game. Yeah. But they didn't. I
think that recovering though is less about what Square Enix does at this point. It's more about what they don't do at this point.
Yes.
Because they are doing things that we like. Octopath, of course. They're probably working on Octopath 3. You know, they're probably working on lots of things that I want to play and will enjoy. It's just they need someone to come in and just say, we need to prune some of these projects that we've got in the works to keep us from sticking our foot in our mouths. You know, I think I'm not the person to say, yes, these are the steps I would do to be successful. but I think they need to have somebody who's in place to say, all right, they need somebody in PR. That's what they need. They need somebody who says, okay, this project, this is dumb. just ignore this. Just
stop.
Cut it. Just no more NFT. No more games as a service, and just focus on single player quality single player experiences. Maybe co-op. That'd be kind of cool.
The really profound thing is that the basis of a strategy is what you don't do is true. And if you basically just nailed it, it's like, yeah, they're doing too many things. Like maybe they should focus on what not to do. Like maybe don't do half the things that you have and then just fail and just continue to ruin the goodwill.
Because even when they do things that aren't bad, but they are even just mediocre, like Tokyo RPG Factory, turns out I feel like that diluted the brand a little bit there, because it was Square Enix's name attached to this project, and if you played it and it was meh, then in your mind that is just one more meh experience that didn't leave an impact on you. So
yeah, that I think that was probably one of the biggest mistake with Tokyo RPG Factory is the fact that they actually tagged their name to it. Like had they not done that,
yeah, as like
it
its
would have
own,
probably done
just
this own small little indie studio making stuff. It would have been much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. But unfortunately, that was not the case. Forspoken, yeah. See, Forspoken was another attempt for Square Enix to say, how can we make that Western dollar? How do we connect with our fans with an IP that speaks to our non-Japanese gamers? Because that's where the money is at, right?
But
that's from their perspective, anyways.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though, is that their Western fans love them for their Japanese content.
Well, we know that they don't listen, so you know, yeah. But they maybe they saw GTA. Here's the thing about Square Enix, okay? They see other companies and they're just like, how can we do this for ourselves? Is kind of the mantra for the last like 10 years. Look at all the games that they come out. Left Alive. How can we make our own? How can we make our own Metal Gear Solid, right? You know, a lot of these other games, Babylon Falls, like how do we make our own Hoyoverse? You know, like how do we make our own super popular live service games? Like how do we make our own GTA? How do we make our own? That's all they want to think about. They want to look at the highest grossing products.
Do you suppose?
And just be like, how do we make a Square Enix version?
Do you suppose Babylon's Fail would have been a little bit done better if they had embraced the waifu strategy?
Babylon Fail. There are too many things to say about it.
It looked a little dull.
People hated the art. People hated the art direction from the get-go, and they just didn't listen.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else to tell them. Like the thing about these games, like for example, like Forspoken 2, is they have all these demos, they have all these things they release that they ask for fans, like feedback. Fans give them feedback, they ignore it, and then they just keep going. And I was just like, well, then what was the point of all that? Like, is it your ego? Like, I don't know what it is, but
I think it's weird.
Kind of ignore it.
I think Square Enix is abstaining from the waifu wars, and it's hurting them in the process. Like, part of me really feels like that. And I don't have a whole lot of evidence. I don't have a whole lot of evidence for this, but I do know that it seems like, at least on the YouTube verse, if your thumbnail doesn't have a waifu on it, and in this circle, that video doesn't get very many clicks.
Oh, Husbando, put a hot guy on it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Let's not neglect the Husbandos.
And click through rate is one thing on YouTube, but like click through rate on a video game, like if your art isn't bringing people in, I don't know, man. That's I hate to say it like that, but lot of RPG fans out there are shallow. Just really into hot chicks. I mean, that's okay.
Believe
I'm
me.
a fan. I'm a fan too, but like
Yeah. Well aware, especially like I told you that I've been like into this whole VTuber space, and like let me tell you,
why is there
there's
no
this-
ugly VTubers, huh?
there definitely are. There definitely are. No, it's
Okay.
there was this one VTuber, like I won't say who, but there was this one VTuber that came out, very nice, like lady, who is the person behind it, super talented, sings really well, everything's great. They got the making of like a top tier VTuber as far as like popularity is concerned. She's got everything going for her. Okay, great sense of humor, everything. But her model looked really bad, and I mean really bad. Like, there's nothing wrong with the art or design, but something about it just gives you that like uncanny valley thing, and it's like well known that this is a weird uncanny valley thing. Okay, now fast forward a year or so after she debuted, a year and a half or so she debuts, and she got a version 2 of the model that looks more like a contemporary well-made waifu model. Okay,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden her popularity just shoots up.
Well, for another
Like, you
case
can't
study,
tell me
another
that
case
is
study here.
not.
Let's take a look at this little known little franchise here in the West of it's this game that's kind of low stakes, Atelier,
Yeah, Atelier. Okay.
and then suddenly all of a sudden all these dudes are interested in this game called Ryza. What the heck is this? I don't know. There's just something about something about this particular series as opposed to all of the others that and if you're interested, if you played Ryza and you never played any of the other Atelier games until now, this is why. This is why it's
Looking at all of you, shame on all of you.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
let's be real. I haven't played any of the Atelier games either, but I also haven't played Ryza. So, and I want to, and I will, but I haven't yet. So I'm still gonna ride this high horse for a few minutes longer.
Okay, but to be fair, not to be fair, but just so you know, I do think Riser would be more of your if you have to pick an LTLA game, I think Riser would fit your profile a little bit more. Not because of the waifu, okay, I promise. That's not how I think of you, Mr. Derek.
Well, thank you.
But because the turn-based battle is actually a little bit better. It's a little bit more focused. Like they really tune the battle.
So presentation
Sophie, not
has
as
a lot
fun.
to do with it. Final Fantasy VII remake. If they used like an anatomically similar version of Tifa as like Final Fantasy VII original, sell twice as many copies. I tell you.
There would be a lot
Put her
less
on the cover.
complain. I tell you that.
Oh, about how woke they are or whatever.
Oh yeah, just silly people. Yeah. No, what Square should have done as an April Fool's, just like give them the size,
DLC.
but it's like extremely polygon. Just let's go back to
Like Lara Croft style. Yes.
you wanted this, we got you.
Original Tifa designs. DLC.
Original Tifa. Yep. It'll be the same proportion, stretched out, but Lara Croft. Just you like those polygons? Got you to polygons. But back to Parasite Eve. I'm surprised, honestly, that they have not made Square Enix version of Resident Evil with Parasite Eve. It would be such a no-brainer to do. It would be so easy to do, right? Like Silent Hill too. I mean, Silent Hill, the new one, they're trying to do things that's similar to Resident Evil because Resident Evil sells. So companies are all doing that. So it's no secret. I'm not just hating on Square Enix, but Square Enix is just more egregious about it. But that's also why I'm surprised that they haven't tried to do that yet, because it's prime for it. Have you ever played Parasite Eve, by the way, Mr. Derek?
No.
You have not?
No. I've been wanting to for a while, but
You should. It is a good game. Well, the first one, anyways.
That's the
I'll
one
give you
I'm
the
on.
gist of it.
Yeah.
The gist of it is your name is Aya. You work for the NYPD and you fight mutants with
Yeah.
Psychic powers.
And it's like a New
that's
Year's
all
Eve
you
kind of
really
movie.
need to know.
It's a
Yeah. And so that would make for a prime like Resident Evil game, honestly. And it would probably sell well if they can do one that actually is well made and not like a blatant cash grab. But you know, Square Enix, so don't get your hopes up.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. I feel like, I mean, I hate to just. It's so easy to just talk at length about Square Enix because they are such an interesting company that you know, played such a big role in
It's
the
a huge
development of the
target
RPG.
too.
That too, and
Yeah.
and gosh, it's so hard to figure out exactly how I would change things for them to let them be more successful than they are. But
Yeah.
it's
I
really,
don't
I think,
know.
yeah, it's a tough one, and it's above our pay grade.
The thing with Square Enix is I think what they gotta realize is that this is a slow decline when it comes to trust.
Yeah.
So it's gonna take almost equal amount of time to rebuild that trust. And until they're willing to like actually put a stance and say, you know what, we've been messing up, instead of still making excuses. It's just like a person. Like think of a relationship with someone
Yeah.
who like think of an old friend who you know you were good friends, but they've just really disappointed you for the last like 10 years.
Yeah, they maybe
Yeah.
they started drinking too much.
Yeah.
You know, made a jackass
Some
of
problems.
themselves, had some run-ins with the law.
Yep.
You know, and then all of a sudden you're like, do I really want to hang out with this person anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they're fun to hang out with, but then, you know, they take it too far. Yeah, I could see that. But then how do you recover from that? Well, it's just by establishing a new pattern of
Go to an AA meeting, maybe. You know, like no, but seriously, like admit
Yeah.
that you have a problem and start putting steps in, try to fix that and just really announce that, right? And be
Yeah.
like, look, I know I've got issues. Let me try to work through this. It's gonna take some time, but will you be there to help us through? And I think the fans are ready for you to just go to an AA meeting, Square Enix, and just admit that you have a problem.
we got a message
Maybe
here
that's
from
the first step.
from Still Alive. A super chat here says, one thing I'm a little fearful with Visions of Mana is if Square Enix gives us like early review copies, but then leaves out microtransactions like Capcom did with Dragon's Dogma 2, or Dragon's Dogma, Dragon's Dogma 2.
Dragon's Dogma, yeah.
Square did this with Chocobo Racing, apparently, which is
What are they doing with Dragon's Dogma?
I didn't hear
I
about
didn't
that.
really follow it. Yeah,
I
didn't
don't know.
Follow it. I know
But-
there's just some controversy with like Tekken.
I knew that there was also a controversy with wasn't it like Battlefront or one of like the Star Wars games? Somebody like it started off fine, but it was reviewed really well,
yeah.
but then it was like full of loot boxes later on,
Mm-hmm.
and it would take like $10,000 to get a copy of or to become Darth Vader or whatever.
Some crazy or 10,000 hour to play or something
Yeah.
some unreasonable amount of time to get Darth Vader unless you pay for things.
Yeah.
So even though technically you don't have to pay for it, technically you don't by technicality. But when it's so unfeasible to do so, in practice, you are saying you need to pay in order to get these people, which by the way, the game was a full price game.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what drew a lot of like criticism. I don't like, and some people will disagree with me, I'm sure, but this is my opinion. My opinion is, cosmetic things are perfectly fair game if you want to, because development games has not gotten cheaper. And so one way to remedy it is just to sell non-essential items that are just looks, doesn't change your gameplay other than people just look different. I'm okay with that, right? If they want to make supplemental money to help, because cash flow, whatever, like we can go into all these
Sure.
things about business, but I'm fair game. What I can't stand are day one like DLCs with content. So clearly you planted this to be like extra thing to make more money. Okay. It's not a hey, this game sold really well, so we slapped something together. Kind of like a Nier Automata, that was more of the case. Like, hey,
Yeah.
we didn't think this game was gonna sell so well, but since it did, here's like a little extra DLC that we threw together. You can pay for it if you want. It doesn't really change the story. It's whatever. But the whole Coliseum thing. That was fine. So day one, like content patch, content DLC, terrible. Loot boxes, anything that has to do with probability, terrible. You know, all the cosmetic skin, it's like, yeah, the skin is there. If you want it, you buy it. You know exactly how much you're buying it for. Okay, you know exactly what you're getting. You could just say no. It's like, it's a very fair transaction.
Yeah.
As soon as you loot box it, it's gambling. Like, don't
Yep.
call it anything else. It's gambling.
Yep. And I'm not a
Right?
fan
So,
of that. And
yeah.
that's the thing about like, it hasn't happened to me yet with any reviewer or with any reviews I've put out, and then they add stuff after the fact that would change my opinion. That hasn't happened yet. But that is something that if it does ever happen, I will be sure to make follow-up videos talking about, and probably even take down the original video, honestly,
Yeah.
because that kind of stuff is super scummy.
Yeah,
And
the other
I
thing
think that
about
that's one way that Square Enix could rack up a lot more ill will by trying something like that. So
well, Vision of Mana, oh boy, I would not shut up about it.
I would
I will
riot.
put them on full blast all day. How dare you do this to my favorite series? Yeah, my favorite series with Square Enix is not Final Fantasy or Saga. It's actually the Mana series, which you know, I'm super happy that they're doing this Vision of Mana thing. But
yeah,
if it's like you said, they put Microsoft, I would put them on blast.
well, guys, it is about that time. Time flies. I can't believe we actually filled about 2 hours on two stories.
I thought we were gonna do 30 minutes. Like, hey Derek, do you just want to do like a 30 minutes, just, like, you know, just chat and then we'll just like call it a day?
Well,
Yeah, sure,
time
we'll do-
flies when you're just ragging on Square Enix for. I'm just kidding.
I can't wait to see the timestamp. You know,
I know.
if Freddy gets to it, it'll just be like. Speaking of Freddy, thank you again for just keep doing our timestamps, Freddy. We don't say this enough, but
Always
thank you for that.
appreciate it.
Yeah, but if he
So-
did do that, it would just be like Baku talks, makes fun of Square Enix. Derek makes fun of Square Enix. Baku makes fun of Square Enix.
Well, it's
part
not
two.
just making fun though, because we do want them to do better. Because honestly, they have a lot of IPs that I care about and enjoy playing.
true.
So if they could be better, that would be great.
A Terra Enigma 2 would be nice, you know?
Well,
Are we going there?
no, I ain't got time for that. That's going to be another discussion cast. So, guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, give it a like or a thumbs up. Because, I mean, let's face it, we're not really dealing with a whole lot of star power news that's going to draw in all the clicks.
It's true.
So, yeah, we're not this no news discussion stuff is not going to pull in a lot of search results for people.
It's
So,
true.
appreciate it. And if you enjoy us on the various podcasting of platforms out there that exist still, now that Google Podcasts is gone, make sure you leave a nice review or something, or a bad review if we sucked. Let us know. And until
Be gentle.
next week, probably, depending on how much news there is, I hope you all have a good week, and we'll see you on the other side. Have a great night, everybody.
Goodbye.